Welcome to The Explainer. We're diving straight into a massive structural shift happening literally right under our noses. For generations, if you wanted to share your ideas, publish a book, or influence culture, you had to ask for permission, right? You had to go through editors, executives of executives. But today, we are aggressively bypassing those traditional media gatekeepers. It's a rapid, unstoppable shift from an era of institutional control straight into the hands of independent creator ownership. And hey, if you think this is just some fringe movement of teenagers making videos in their bedrooms, well, take a look at the sheer scale of this thing. As of 2024, the creator economy is valued at an estimated $250 billion. I mean, that is a massive, incredibly powerful economic engine. It's completely reshaping how value is created, and it's basically forcing legacy industries to either adapt right now or become totally obsolete. Okay, let's dive into our roadmap for today. We'll be looking at 1. The $250 billion shift, 2. What is a gatekeeper, 3. Bypassing with data, 4. Authors as CEOs, 5. Front row fashion rebels, and finally 6. The unstoppable creator economy. Section 1. The $250 billion shift. So why is this exploding right now? It's basically the perfect storm of three forces. First up, technological advancements. High-quality production used to mean crazy expensive equipment and huge professional teams. Now, a smartphone and some affordable editing software completely level the playing field. Second, social media platforms. These give creators instant global distribution channels that double as monetization tools. But here's the real kicker: shifting consumer behavior. You and I, we vastly prefer authentic, relatable creators over highly produced corporate advertising. We crave that direct, personal connection. And traditional corporate models just can't fake that intimacy. Section 2. What is a gatekeeper? To really get this, think of mass media like the bouncers at the world's most exclusive club. Gatekeeping theory is actually one of the original theories of mass communication. In simple terms, it's the process by which those bouncers take a massive amount of available messages and whittle them down to the select few that are actually offered to an audience. For decades, TV networks, publishing houses, and record labels held all the cards because they owned the distribution channels. They stood right at the gate, actively deciding what you were allowed to see, read, and hear. Now, surprisingly, this theory didn't actually start with media. It started with meat. Yeah, back in 1947, a researcher named Kurt Lewin ran a study trying to convince housewives to buy secondary cuts of meat during World War II. He mapped out the channels food traveled from the farm to the family table, and he noted the gates and the gatekeepers, like the shopper, who made the calls along the way. Fast forward to 1950, and a researcher named David Manning White adapted this idea to news. He studied a telegraph editor he famously called Mr. Gates, a guy who ruthlessly trashed wire stories before they ever reached your morning paper. For half a century, Mr. Gates literally controlled our reality. Section 3. Bypassing with data. So without those gatekeepers, creators are building entirely new business models from scratch. First, you've got direct-to-consumer, or DTC. This is where creators sell digital products like courses or ebooks directly to their audience, keeping the lion's share of the profits. Then there's the subscription-based model. Platforms like Patreon or Substack give creators steady, recurring revenue in exchange for exclusive content. And finally, sponsored content. This allows creators to integrate brand partnerships authentically, essentially turning themselves into highly targeted one-person media agencies. But you might be wondering, what makes these models actually work without a corporate middleman pulling the strings? Well, the answer is data. Historically, only big corporations had the market data. Today, creators have direct access to real-time analytics. They know exactly who is watching, for how long, and what they are willing to pay for. So the core takeaway here is that data equals independence. It allows a solo creator to completely tailor their content, refine their strategy, and maximize their earnings with a level of precision that traditional media can honestly only dream of. Section 4. Authors as CEOs. Let's look at how this plays out in the real world. When an author wants to release a book today, they are essentially choosing between two very different business models. The traditional route is a partnership model. You submit your work to an agent, the ultimate gatekeeper, who then pitches it to an editor. You hand over control, and in return, the publisher funds the production, gets the book into physical stores, and gives you that industry validation. But the entrepreneurial indie route, you don't ask for permission. You hire your own editors, your own designers. You are stepping up as the CEO of your own intellectual property business. And the advantages of this entrepreneurial model are absolutely huge. Traditional publishing is agonizingly slow, sometimes taking years just to see your book on a shelf, and you're getting paid single-digit print royalties. But as an independent CEO, you move at the speed of the modern market. You retain full creative control over the cover and the content. You're taking home up to 70% royalties on ebooks. And best of all, you completely own the direct relationship with your reader, totally cutting out that corporate distributor. Section 5. Front Row Fashion Rebels. Let's pivot to an industry notoriously obsessed with gates. As culture writer Eugene Rabkin notes, fashion has always been the great illusion maker. Historically, this industry traded on intense exclusivity. It relied on a super strict hierarchy. We're talking fashion councils, glossy magazines, and massive conglomerates just to dictate what was good, what was bad, and who was allowed to sit at the table. Plus, traditional fashion media relied heavily on brand advertising, which meant genuine, honest critique was incredibly rare. The gates were bolted shut. Enter the independent digital commentators. Hanan Basovic, who runs a massively popular fashion commentary account, hits the nail on the head regarding the old system. He says, it's okay to praise, but it's never okay to criticize, and that's just wrong. When I criticize, I never try to be mean about it. It's just my opinion. See, independent creators aren't relying on these massive heritage brands to pay their rent. Because of that financial freedom, they can offer raw, unfiltered critique. And the public absolutely eats it up, because it's authentic. And this unfiltered dialogue is literally forcing legacy brands to wake up and pay attention. Brenda Weischer, another prominent independent fashion voice, sums it up perfectly. She says, I'm more excited that the voices are changing. I'm excited to see other people's opinions and not always having the same people in the room. When an elite brand drops a lazy collection today, independent creators can shift global public perception overnight. Those traditional gatekeepers just can't protect the brands from reality anymore. Section 6. The unstoppable creator economy. So all of this builds into a very clear blueprint for success in today's digital landscape. First, stop waiting to be picked, bypass the middleman, and build your own platform. Second, analyze your real-time data just like a tech company would, so you can constantly refine what you're offering. And finally, cultivate direct relationships. Build a community, not just a customer base. That direct connection is a far more resilient business model than just crossing your fingers and hoping some corporate gatekeeper smiles upon you. The old world of Mr. Gates carefully curating what you get to consume, it's over. We are living in a completely decentralized $250 billion economy where the tools for production, distribution, and monetization are right there for anyone with a smartphone and a vision. The gates have been completely torn down. So the only question left to ask yourself is this. In a $250 billion economy without gatekeepers, what's stopping you from building your own empire? Thanks for joining me on this explainer, and keep learning.